All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome to today's live session. Today is November 6th, 2020. Hope you guys had a good and entertaining week. It was been pretty fun to just watch the madness unfold. And so this week was obviously not an ideal trading week to actually trade. It was more of a trading week where you sit on your hands and you just learn. And so we will discuss all the things that are kind of pertaining to the markets and what is going on in the world. Obviously, the elephant in the room is the U.S. election, which is still not done, but it's looking like it's going to be very close to being done. So that's what we mainly focused on this entire week, because if you looked at every single day, there was at least three major high-impact news. And from Tuesday, the first day of the election, to now, we still have not decided a winner. So the markets have been so unpredictable. The volatility has been off the charts, and there's a good reason for that. Obviously, when you don't know who is going to be the commander in chief of one of the most powerful nations in the world, you're going to have a lot of markets thrive under the uncertainty, or a lot of markets depreciate under that uncertainty. So we'll go over all of that now. So first off, actually, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you join our Discord. It's free to join. We have a whole community section here where we share news, analysis, all that good stuff. We even have, free content as well. And that is all available. All you have to do is click the link to sign up. It takes 1 minute to get the Discord link, and you'll be a member. So, the current status of the election is this, right? It's the same. Well, in terms of electoral votes, it's the same as yesterday. 264 is what Biden is sitting at. 214 is what Trump is sitting at. However, overnight, Biden has took the lead in Pennsylvania and Georgia. Yesterday, Trump had a pretty decent lead in both these states. Biden has taken the lead. The senator of Georgia said there will be a recount for Georgia. So there will be a recount for this. However, if, for example, if Pennsylvania is a surefire win for Biden, then it's over, because he will get 20 votes, and that will be done. At the moment, President Trump needs almost every single state to go his way, or it's a loss, because he needs a ton of votes. He needs 56 votes to get to 270. Biden only needs 6. It could be Nevada. I was honestly thinking Nevada would give this for Biden, but Nevada said they won't start counting again until November 12th. So we have to wait for all of these other states. And so there are talks of Biden potentially addressing the nation today and, declaring victory. There's also talks from Biden's camp that if Trump doesn't walk out of the White House, that they will literally escort him out, as he'd be a trespasser since he won't be president anymore. So it's a mess. I mean, it's not official until, it turns 270, or until the fat lady sings, right? So, I mean, it's still ongoing. For example, if you look at Pennsylvania, we still have 2% of the votes still out there. If you look at North Carolina, for example, we still have 6%. If you look at Nevada, for example, we have 16% of the vote still remaining. So a lot of these states, they're still up for grabs per se, but it's leaning heavily to Biden. And we discussed this since Friday. If you want to see, here's yesterday's session and what I spoke about. Let me turn this volume on. The presidency, but you can see everything about the dollar index is coming into fruition. From this up move when it looked like Trump was winning. Right, so you can see each Biden move. Like he's gonna win. Yesterday we said that Biden is favored, and USD will go lower, and of course this thing has melted to our original low of 92.71. So these are all things that are pretty easy to predict, especially when you know the policies behind each candidate. And we're gonna go over some articles. Right, so we also discussed the day before that if Biden does win, we could see the dollar index go to 92, 93, and that's exactly what happened. So it is definitely a case of the market's kind of predicting, not really predicting, but definitely reacting real time to the news, to the election, right? And A new batch of votes just came in Pennsylvania, and Trump has and Biden has a 0.01% lead, right? So let's just see if this has updated. Right, so it's still the same. The numbers are so close that it might not change until a drastic shift happens. But basically, what we said was that if Trump wins, you will see a stronger dollar, which when he had momentum, this is what we saw. If Biden wins, we'll have a weaker dollar, and this is the sell-off we saw. And I do think USD will go lower, just because the Democrats are looking to pass a huge stimulus bill and also reinforce the lockdowns. Right? Trump was against that stimulus bill at least until he gets elected, and also his lockdowns weren't going to be as strict. He's more about opening up the economy. So this is why you're seeing the dollar index melt. And on election day, the volatility was ridiculous because we had a gap up from here all the way up to here, and then immediately it took a U-turn and dive. So maybe that's predictive, who knows? But we know Wall Street does want that stimulus package, and that's one of the reasons why I thought that Biden was going to win. A lot of powerful people want Biden to win, and so I think that's the whole ordeal. And if you look at some of the majors, you'll see these moves correspond almost perfectly. And so if Biden wins, which I think he will, we will have pretty decent trading conditions because there won't be any doubts about a stimulus bill. There won't be battles in Senate about passing that bill. We'll have some, control over the current pandemic. We'll also have, less trade wars with China, less Twitter fingers, because we know throughout these past 4 years, all it took was one tweet from Trump to move the markets, right? He had the most powerful trading desk in the world. And many traders got sick of it, especially during the trade wars with China and all the tariffs and sanctions. Trading became sometimes very unreliable, or the markets became very unreliable. But now that we have kind of a more calm administration, we may see favorable conditions to end off the year. Mind you, December is a stone's throw away, pretty much 3 weeks away. And then if you really want to count the holiday season, we're 5 weeks away. We know once mid-December rolls around, the markets go to a standstill. So we practically have 5 weeks left of trading for the year. But obviously, those 5 weeks will be very fun. That's where most of the gains are made. And that's where most of the gains I believe I made in 2019 and 2018. So we'll see what happens. Again, Trump's not out of it just yet. These guys are talking about going to Supreme Court. If there's a recount and Georgia flips to Trump, then Biden will lose 16 electoral votes, and then he will need to win, for example, Pennsylvania, which is still kind of, it can go either way, or he needs to win Nevada by a strong margin. So it's not done yet, but it's getting there, right? It is looking pretty sad for Trump's camp. So we're going to go over some of the majors just to get a idea. And also, before I actually do that, another thing that was discussed in yesterday's session was that today's NFP, right? Everyone kind of forgot about it because of the election. But I literally said that even if the NFP numbers are great, it won't matter because everything is focused on the election, right? And if you look at this morning's NFP numbers, they were absolutely fantastic. And the mainstream media, they won't give Trump credit about this. And I always felt like when it came to the jobs, he has achieved the lowest unemployment in history. If you look at the job numbers, I mean, we were forecasted to have 7.7% unemployment. It dropped all the way down to 6.9, right? You look at the jobs added, we had a nice 40K surplus to the forecast. That's pretty good, right? That's pretty good. Even Canada pulled through with some nice unemployment numbers as well. And so I believe with this dynamic, USD CAD is probably melting out of the sky right now. So despite all these great NFP numbers, if you look at the dollar index, you don't see that. And that's mainly because the election is taking precedent, right? That's what it really comes down to. And so, if you look at long term, where the dollar index is headed, it's down here. And this is the low we made in September. And these are the lows we made when pretty much the world went to a standstill because of the pandemic, right? Down here during that summer. And so I do think the next target for dollar index is 91.89 or just 92 flat. I think that's where we'll be headed next. You can obviously see we were in a descending channel for much of the year. We jumped out, we tried to go higher, and this move was when it looked like Trump had momentum. And then overnight, when they found the mail-in ballots for Biden, it was pretty much GG. It was a good game. All right, so that's where we're headed to next. So obviously, we'll be looking for longs for the majors, and we've been eyeing longs for the majors since last Friday. So one of them is for euro dollar. And you can see euro dollar just completely shot up, right? And if you look at the 4-hour candles, you will see what has happened. So this was Tuesday, right, where we said that if price can jump up above this high, then most likely Biden won. It did jump off, but instead of Biden winning, he got the momentum. And then Wednesday and Thursday, we kind of consolidated because things came to a standstill. Trump still had a lead in key states, which could give him the win, and so things kind of cooled down. And then during yesterday's session, I said that if you do see price clear this high, this next high, this kind of resistance area, then most likely Biden has secured the win. Right now, again, he hasn't secured the win officially, but it's pretty much almost in his hands, right? So that's why you saw this move. And I also said the opposite, that, oops, that's weird. I also said the opposite, that if you see a candle like this go to the downside, then maybe Trump is gaining momentum, or he possibly won it. So obviously, the long is what we're looking for. And if you look at the daily time frame, we have some easy targets to look for. I think the best target is this one up here, which was the high we made back in September. And this was the high we made for the entire year, right? Because for a good part of the year, the dollar was selling off because of the pandemic. And this was the high we made for 2020, right near 1.20 thousand, a nice psychological level, 1.20 thousand. And you can see right now price has cleared this kind of resistance zone. If you look at the daily candle, it's a nice bullish hammer. It just tells me a lot of momentum is there. And so going into next week, if price action still resumes, then by all means you can take that long back up to 1.20, right? And we can have intermediate take profits. For example, these wicks right here, 1, 2, 3, and then maybe one right here as well. Jesus, TradingView. One right here. So TP1, TP2, TP3, something like that, right? But obviously, you can tell this thing is ready to launch. And I think once the Biden victory is confirmed, this will go berserk. It will just shoot up. There will be no question. So we may not even get an entry into this because over the weekend, it could be announced that Biden has won, and this thing would gap up all the way up to here. So that's why I was really, I really made it a point to not trade this week if you didn't have to, because it's really hard to predict these type of moves, and ballots are coming out in surges. Usually in elections, by the first or second day. For example, when you had Barack for 2 terms, or Bush for his second term. But this time, it's coming out in surges. So it is definitely harder to predict. We don't have a Forex factory schedule of Georgia will release results here, Pennsylvania will release results here, or Arizona will release results here. It wasn't like that. It was all surges, random. Overnight ballots were found here, ballots were found there. For example, in Michigan, they made a huge mistake where they put this many votes for Biden when it was actually supposed to be 1,500 because a person accidentally put another 0. So there are some things that the Trump administration wants to take to the Supreme Court, but if they don't accept it, then that's tough luck, right? So that's what we're looking for: longing the euro, and if we do clear, for example, 1.20, then the sky's the limit, right? The sky's the limit. For example, you go to the weekly, you can start targeting this high because euro has been on a downtrend since 2008, right? On the monthly time frame, since 2008, it's been on the downtrend. It was finally this year when the pandemic started. It finally broke out of that downtrend because the dollar was just selling off like crazy. We can still see we haven't cleared this significant high. So I do think that price would love to at least try to break this high. So long term, this could be even more of a long term target of 1.25500. I think price does want to give this an honest attempt to break. So it might come up here and break it, then go higher. It might come up here and then sell off, whatever the case may be. But it's bullish for the euro for sure, no doubt. Next up, we have Aussie dollar. Very similar price action to euro, and this was the percentages of who I thought would win before the election. We gave Biden a heavy, favorite to win, and this was the number on the day of election. So looks like that panned out pretty nicely. And even if you look on the monthly time frame, you can see, Aussie dollar was in a sell-off since 2018, but then starting this year, it started to clear a few significant highs. It cleared this significant high, this significant high, this significant high, this significant high. So it is looking to actually make some, upside movements, like an actual trend reversal. And so if you look at the daily, it looks fairly similar to the euro, where you just have these huge bullish candles. And this was the long idea we have for next week, where if price can close above this level, bullish, which it has, this is a nice bullish hammer. Let me move this. This is a nice bullish hammer. We can possibly go long and target this, these wicks up here, and then this high as a target. So right now, price is printing a bearish hammer, which is actually a pretty good candle to enter long on. It's a nice pullback candle. But we're disciplined traders. We don't enter trades on Friday, and we certainly don't enter trades when there's an election going on, and there could be, a Biden victory could be announced at any second, or a Trump victory in a key state could be announced any second. So this is something we can reevaluate on Monday and kind of get a feel for the traders' sake and for everyone's sake, that a winner's announced this weekend. I don't have a horse in the race. I'm in Canada, but I would just love for a winner to be announced so we can finally start trading again and not worry about politics and debates for another 4 years, right? I think we're all kind of tired of that. So that's what we have for Aussie. It looks pretty good right now. If you look at the 4-hour time frame, you'll probably see what's happening. So you can see here's that break of that key level. Price has pulled back. You have all these hammers, all these doji candles. I think it's all ready to just launch up, right? So if a Biden victory is, declared today, you will see price go from here up to here. At the bare minimum, we will clear this level, that's for sure. But at least this will be met, and if not, this will be the cherry on top all the way up here. So obviously, I'll be praying that Monday we have a winner and nothing changes so we can enter. But these are things that are out of our control, right? So Aussie is also along, and then we talked about gold. Gold is thriving because of two things, right? One is the weaker dollar, right? We know that Biden's camp will lead to a weaker dollar. Number two, the uncertainty about having a president. We still don't know. And gold thrives under those conditions. So if you see what gold has done this week, if you look at this weekly candle, that is monstrous. That is absolutely insane. Just to give you an idea of how much it's moved, over 8,500 pips. Like and if you're on the wrong side of this volatility, it'd be bad news for you, right? And we were very safe with gold. We did have a possible short, but only if we cleared 1847 on the daily or weekly time frame, and we haven't done that, so we never entered that trade idea. And good thing we didn't, because price immediately jumped up. So you can see gold has cleared a significant high as well, the high we made back in October, and gold does have a chance to go back to these highs up here, and then go back to these highs. Back in December 2019, I called gold going to 2,000, right? Gold actually gave me a bonus and actually went up to 2,070. Gold is pretty easy to analyze in terms of technicals as well as fundamentals, and this tells me that I think by the end of the year we should meet this all-time high. If not, make a new one at 3,000 or 2,500. So we're also bullish on gold. Obviously, I can't really give any setup now. It'd just be careless to do so. But going into next week, these are the pairs we'll be looking at, right? And this is all on the premise that Biden wins and we have an election winner. If the election is still dragging on, if we're in the courts next week, if there's recounts in other states, then everything we've talked about is thrown out the window, right? So if there's any other pair recommendations, let me know, and I'll be happy to go through them. I know there's a delay between what I say now and YouTube, so I'll give a few seconds. I'll take a sip of my Coke. Okay, some new updates. So the Associated Press just said Pennsylvania is likely to go to a recount. So now we have two states that are going to recount, so Georgia and Pennsylvania. And also Pelosi said that Joe Biden is a president-elect and says he's a clear winner in the election. So it is great, getting crazy. This is like a reality TV show, but potential two recounts in two states that may hold the winner of the election, or at least a declaration of a winner. And man, this is crazy. 2020 has been an absolutely crazy ride. Someone said the market killed me this week. I'm sorry that happened to you. Since last Friday, I told everyone that me personally, I will not be participating. These type of weeks, you want to be a participator in the market. You want to be a observer of the markets rather than a participator. There's a wise saying. A wise man learns from the mistakes of others, right? You don't want to be the one making mistakes. You want to be the one learning from mistakes from others. So that's why this week I said it's a good week to learn and just learn how the markets react to election. So next time, if you do want to trade an election or you just have to for some reason, you know what to expect. We have a good idea. But elections are one of the most uncertain factors. And this morning showed you how important an election is because, look at the dollar index. It's melting. But look at the NFP numbers. The non-farm payroll release is one of the biggest events in Forex. It is one of the most watched, most looked after events in Forex. These great numbers had no effect on the dollar index whatsoever. Zero. If you look at the 4-hour time frame, zero. And that's what I wanted to make a huge point about. That this is a week where if you had to fix up your backyard, fix the shed, install new furniture, use this week to do it because trading would not be the ideal scenario. But there are traders that traded it, and we do have some that did at Forex Lens and had a good time and did make profits, which is fine. But it's all about your personality. And I think IT Institute Trader touched on this. When you're a trader, you have to learn what your personality is. And if you start trading against your personality, and your trading strategy and your personality don't link up, that's a tug of war. You don't want that to happen. You want them to be in sync. Otherwise, every other day you're going to be in a conflict with yourself, right? So I won't even try to pronounce your name, but Methanuthi. I'm sorry you had a bad week and the markets killed you, but hopefully you use risk management and it's recoverable. If there's any other pairs, let me know. I think yesterday someone messaged me about BTC, so I'll give my opinion on BTC, and then we'll take it from there. So I gave a long for BTC a few days ago. We'll see how it looks right now. Thing about TradingView, there's so many providers. So that long idea is absolutely perfect. What a great idea. So we pretty much gave a long idea once we clear this high. I'll show you on the weekly. Right, this was the high we made way back in June. Actually, yeah, way back in June of 2019. This push up here. Since then, we haven't crossed. Right, we stayed below it for the rest of 2019 and much of 2020. Once I saw price pushing up to here with a nice bullish hammer, and I knew a Biden win was more likely with a weaker U.S. dollar, I knew that BTC was ready to jump. And so I just gave this trade idea for those value investors that are looking to buy BTC or hold it. I'm going to be buying some tomorrow, but my end of the year target is the all-time high of around 20,000. We could go higher, that's for sure, but this is the target for me. And so BTC went as high as 16,000, which is pretty good since we haven't been there in almost 3 years. We haven't been to 16,000 in almost 3 years. So that's a huge move for BTC. So that's what I think for BTC. It will continue going up. Obviously, it's not financial advice, but I'm just saying, me personally, I'll be looking to get some BTC, right, before this thing goes to 20K, 30K, 50K. Who knows, might go to 100K. But that looks all fine and well. And again, the USD is only looking to get weaker. So this should take precedent and go higher. And the rest is just history. So anything else, let me know. Otherwise, I will end off the session and we can discuss this on Monday. Hopefully on Monday, we will have a winner of the election. All right, so I think everyone is fine. So what I want to do before I end this off, and Methathumbi, I hope I'm saying your name right, I'm sorry. You said the markets killed you this week. This is what we do at Forex Lens. We help traders not get killed in Forex, not get killed in trading. We offer live sessions every single day, at least 2 a day. One is price action, and the other 2 are smart money, which is how the banks and major institutions trade. And that's our Forex trading room. On top of all of that, we also give 6 to 7 solid signal providers that give you trades around the clock. So not only can you learn, but you can also earn. And we have a good promotion going on. It's the first 50 promotion. What this means is your first month will be 50% off. And it's very easy to take advantage. So let me show you. So all you have to do is go to our website, forexlens.com, go to Forex Trading Room, click Get Started, and then you fill out this simple form. You click Next, and then at the bottom you will see Enter a coupon code. If you enter first 50, your first month will only be $73.50. Now, if you want a deal for our three month or yearly memberships, just chat with our live chat agent and she'll help you out. But guys, now is the time to learn, especially with all the lockdowns. You're sitting inside, you're gaming the day away, you're watching Netflix all the time. Now is the time to learn a skill that's recession proof. Trading's recession proof, hurricane proof. It's tsunami proof. As long as you have a computer and internet connection, or a phone and internet connection, you can trade. So hopefully I see some new faces on Monday, and I pray that we get a winner of the election so we can start trading some of these great setups. But that's that. So hopefully you guys are being safe. That includes in the markets and out of the markets.